Everywhere you go, you know they know I'm hot.
What's up? What's going on, my good people? Welcome back to Rhonda's Real Talk. Today is Sunday. It's October 8th. And I wanted to sit down and have a conversation and share an experience that I had earlier this year. I want to say that this is one of the scariest things I've ever experienced in my life. Very emotional, a lot of uncertainty, and y'all, my nerves was just bad. This really messed me up. It did. And it's fitting to share this time of year during this month because it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So all I can hope is that somebody that's watching, I hope that you are moved to pick up the phone and call and make an appointment for a mammogram. That's what I hope. So for anybody that's watching for the first time, my name is Rhonda. Welcome to the channel. I appreciate you being here. And I'm 42 years old and I got my first screening at 40. So when I got my first, screening, like leading up to it, I was nervous. I had a bunch of questions. I kept on asking my mom questions. But my first screening was extremely smooth. I had a great technician. She was very patient. She was kind. It was a smooth process. It was way smoother than I could have expected. Did the screening. I got my results in mail maybe 3 weeks later. Nothing was detected. Didn't have to do any additional screenings. That was it. Okay. So that happened at 40, 41 rolls around. I don't know where I got this from, but I was under the impression that I had to go every other year. So I didn't go at 41 and then I went at 42. So I relocated from California to Columbus at the end of March. I got settled in. I had me an appointment in Columbus for a screening in May. So I have a PPO and I was just calling around. I was calling around and I was going to call. I was determined to call until I got an appointment. So I called a couple places. They might have been at lunch, didn't answer. I had to leave a message at other places or whatever. And I was like, I'm going to keep on calling until I get somebody. So first place that answers, I'm able to get an appointment like that following week. So I'm like, perfect. So get my appointment. And it's now the day of the appointment. I pull up to the facility. I go inside and the woman directs me to the area for, to get the screening. So I'm walking back there and I realize that it's a cancer clinic. And I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, I didn't know this was a cancer clinic. So I had a couple different thoughts. The first thought was like, damn, what if they find something? Second thought was, if they do find something, I feel like I'm in really good hands. So I go in for the screening, wait to be seen, get all my insurance stuff done. This is my second screening. It's smooth as well. I have a great technician. She's taking her time, everything cool. So now it's time for me to get ready to leave. They're like, okay, so what's going to happen is either you're going to get a phone call or we're going to mail you your results in a few weeks. So I'm like, okay, cool. So I get my screening on May 12th. Like 2.5 weeks go by. I don't hear anything, nothing in mail. I decide to call just to see if my results had come in. I call, I got their voicemail. I didn't leave a message. And then I started doing a whole bunch of other stuff. So I didn't call back either. Right. So that was about the 2.5 week mark. About 4 weeks go by and my phone rings and it catches my attention because it's a 614 number calling me. So 614 is the Columbus area code. And I don't get a lot of Columbus numbers in my caller ID like that. I get some, but not a lot. You know what I mean? So, and usually those numbers are saved. So when I see the 614 number, it definitely catches my attention. And I answer right away, not expecting it to be the cancer clinic, but it is. So the woman identifies herself, tells me that she's calling to make a follow-up appointment. I'm like, a follow-up appointment for what? She was like, I was like, did the doctor find something? Like, I'm freaking out immediately. And she was like, well, that's the thing. She was like, you have a low dense area in your breast and the doctor wasn't able to see everything. The doctor is not able to, rule out breast cancer 100% at this time. So I hear that, my heart drops and my mind is just gone left. Right. So trying to make an appointment. This is the 4th week. I get an appointment the following week. So I have an appointment during the 5th. So after I've taken my mammogram, I have an appointment 5 weeks later to now go for an ultrasound. So I'm asking questions. She's answering my questions and I feel like I hear her, but it's like I'm making up stuff in my mind at the same time, to be honest with y'all, because I'm just thinking the worst. I'm not even gonna lie. Just the callback just really threw me off. I was really expecting things to be smooth like it was during my first screening. I get off the phone with her. I immediately call my mom because I'm nervous. I'm scared and I'm just thinking the worst. So my mom is like talking me down, like, Rhonda, everything is okay. This is completely normal. You'd be surprised how many women get callbacks. I've had to get callback. I've had callbacks myself, and things have always turned out okay. She was like, everything is going to be okay. My mom is telling me everything I need to hear. So I'm like crying on the phone with her, and she's just saying everything that I need to hear in that moment. Okay. So my mom, mom is the best, y'all. Shout out to Auntie Nisi. So she gets me through that moment, and I calm down for a second, but of course I go down a rabbit hole. Now it's just me and the internet. I'm Googling all kind of articles, reading people's experiences. I'm looking at videos, short videos, long videos. I'm looking at everything online, like about this ultrasound and the follow-up test that they do, once you've got a mammogram and a low dense area in breast. Like, I'm reading all this stuff, y'all. I'm consumed. My appetite has changed. I can barely eat. My stomach is in knots. I'm just worried. I'm worried, and I have an entire week until I have this follow-up appointment. And it's a long ass week. It's long. I feel like I'm distracted. I'm not focused. I'm on the phone with my honey and I'm listening, but I'm like kind of like checked out a little bit. She's having to repeat herself. Just everything. Everybody notices that I'm, Rhonda, you okay? And it's like, no, like, y'all, this is I'm nervous. I'm nervous. And I'm just thinking the worst. I'll be honest with you. Like, I was trying to get positive thoughts and all of that, but it just wasn't working. It wasn't working, So, and I was just thinking too, I'm like, something like this would happen to me when I move across the country away from everybody. Not that I don't have any support here, but of course, all of my family is in California, and I'm like, oh, shit. I'm just, like I said, just thinking the worst, y'all. So the week finally goes by. It's time for my appointment. I pull up and they're like backed up because something happened where the appointments got backed up. But I'm like, okay, so my appointment was at 10:30. They didn't see me until like 11:30, 11:45. So I just got time on my hands to sit and think, right? I'm thinking, I'm trying to really fight through with the positive thoughts, y'all. And finally, the positive thoughts really came through I feel like I was there for about 30 minutes. And finally, my mind started shifting where it was like, okay, Rhonda, if they do find something, at least you have the support that you need. Your honey is here. Luckily, my mom is retired, has her own business, and is in a position where she could be here, for an extended period of time if she needed to be, to help me if I needed treatments, if I have to go to appointments or whatever I need. My mom could be here. So I'm like, okay, well, that's a plus. That's the positive side of this. If there is something going on, you're going to have what you need. You're going to be completely supported. You're going to be fine. We did miss the appointment last year, but hopefully this is early enough for them to catch it. All of this stuff I'm thinking about, y'all. I'm thinking about all of it. Okay. So finally it's my turn to get the ultrasound, and she starts with my right breast, right? So they put the cold gel on my breast, and she's, rubbing the area, right? Y'all, she's there for like 15 minutes, and 15 minutes feels like an hour. And my heart is just jumping through my chest because I'm just thinking like she definitely found something. Like she's been here for an hour on my breast, and oh my God. And now I'm thinking about like, damn, when I do lay on my stomach, now I do my self exams, right? I examine my breast myself. I've never felt a lump or anything, right? But when I lay on my stomach, I can tell that there's like more tissue on the right side. Like it's kind of uncomfortable to lay on the right side on my breast, kind of, you know what I'm saying? Because I can feel that it's just more tissue, right? So I'm like, oh my God, I guess there's something there. But I'm like, okay, but again, Rhonda, your mom is available. Your honey will support you. I'm sure there are other friends and family that'll come out here and support you and give you help you through this. You're going to be fine. Everything is going to be fine, Rhonda. So I'm having this talk with myself while she's still just back there just going in, right? So I'm like, oh my God, got my hand up over, I'm laying back like this, y'all. And she's just, just keeps on going in this area. And I'm trying not to even look at the ultrasound, the screen. I'm just looking over at the wall. Like, I don't want to see nothing, right? So 15 minutes, maybe it was 20 minutes, but again, it felt like an hour. Finally goes to the left breast. She's only there for like a minute or two. And I'm like, fuck. I'm like, she definitely found something. Like, why was that so quick? Like, oh my God. So she's like, go ahead and get dressed. Let me go, we'll look at the images and stuff like that, and I'll be back. So I'm like, oh God. So now I'm getting dressed. I throw my clothes on super quick, and I'm just sitting there on the edge of the seat. I'm sitting there, like, I'm just sitting there just waiting, like, please open the door. Please come back and tell me good news, please. But she's kind of like gone for a while. But I'm thinking like, but Rhonda, remember, they're backed up. You know what I mean? It was a bunch of people that needed to be seen before you. Like, maybe it's just taking some time. I'm just having these conversations back and forth, just really trying to calm myself down. So I'm going to say about 15, 20 minutes go by. The door, creaks open, and it's, she's back, and she's just like, it seemed like it's taking her forever to even say anything. And I'm like, I'm just waiting. I'm like, please just say something. Just have something positive to say, please. And she was like, well, you do have a mass on the right side of your breast. She was like, but everything is fine. You know, it is benign, but there is a mass. That's why it took me so long. Like I had to, really get in there and make sure that I got, full scope of everything. And I'm like, thank God. And I'm like, is there anything else? And she was just like, well, you do have there's like a benign mass, like two benign like mass areas in between your breasts. It's small, but we want you to come back in 6 months so we can monitor it, make sure it's still benign, make sure it hasn't grown or anything like that. And so I'm like, okay, so am I okay? Am I healthy? She was like, yeah, everything's fine. You're good. She was like, just make sure you come back in December, So I'm like, all right. So I'm breathing. I'm relieved. I can't wait to get outside to call my mom, call my honey, let them know what's going on. Y'all, I mean, just the relief, I was so grateful to get that good news. And I don't know, y'all, I don't know. It was just so much, just all the emotions leading up to that moment, all the emotions within that moment, like just my nerves, y'all, like, oh my God, like, I think I lost weight that week because I just wasn't eating a whole lot. Like, it was just so much like leading up to all of this. And just that phone call when the lady first called, it was so overwhelming. And like I said, just thinking like, I would go through something like this while my ass is on the other side of the country. And that's all I was thinking, like, man, like, come on. And, yeah, y'all. So it was just a lot. And I'm really glad that everything is okay. I already have my appointment for December. I was not playing around with that. Got my appointment. I will be there bright and early, on that day in December. And, of course, when I got back, I started doing more research because I love to do research, y'all. So I'm thinking about like, I'm like, well, can I shrink my this benign mass? Can I make it smaller? Like, what can I do? So I find this diet, these different diets and foods that, help that can, keep the like benign tumors or benign mass areas from growing. It's supposed to help them shrink. So I started researching. So I'm like, okay. So I'm looking at, okay, this list is full of stuff that I already like to eat anyway. So it's walnuts, it's beans, berries, fatty fish, kale, cauliflower, turnip greens, like all these things I already enjoy. So I'm like, you know what? I got to step it up and make sure that I'm, including more of these things in my diet. So I'm now in a place where I feel like about 50% of my diet is like meat. And then 50% is more like plant-based, So I've done a great job at increasing these foods in my diet. And I've been very intentional about that. And just in general, I want to be more plant-based. But this was definitely a reason to like, if I can shrink these benign mass areas, I want to do that. I want to make sure these don't become cancerous. I want to do whatever I can. So, I could be better. But I've definitely cleaned up my diet quite a bit. And just hoping for good news when I go back in December, hoping for good news and that everything is okay. But y'all, this was very scary. And like I said, for anybody that's watching, I hope that this encourages you to call and make that appointment next week, when you can, or get online and make an appointment. If you've been putting it off, if you have a family history of breast cancer, if you've been, you think you saw discharge in your breast, you think you felt a lump, whatever the case may be, make that appointment just so you can get ahead of this. You owe it to yourself to know what's going on. And so you can beat this. You owe that to yourself and to your family. There are people that love you and care about you and want you to be here. And just going to get this mammogram, even as uncomfortable as it may be or awkward as it may be getting it done, this screening can save your life. So that's it, y'all. I just wanted to share what happened, and I'll be back in December, and if I got to go every 6 months, that's exactly what I'm gonna do to make sure that I'm, that I'm okay, that everything is good. So, whenever I do talk about, reminding people to get their health screenings, or we talk about health and wellness, I've talked about my bulimia and different struggles that I've had with my health and stuff too, or my eating disorder. People always jump in the comments and share their experience, so please, by all means, share your experience in the comments. I've had people talk about how they had beat breast cancer, how a screening saved their life and they were able to get ahead of it or whatever. But we got to continue having these conversations, and just know that, if you're afraid to go, you're not alone. Trust me, you're not. But I do want you to stop putting it off for real, because I want you to be here. So that's it, y'all. If you enjoyed the video, give it a big thumbs up. Leave me in the comments with whatever you have to say or any questions you want to ask. I'll be happy to answer that. I appreciate y'all watching. I do. Make the best of the day, y'all. Be good to yourself. Peace.
I be beaming, I be booming down that block. Everywhere you go, they know I'm hot.